Clap, I'll take it. Good morning. Welcome to our 14th year doing the Email Insider Summit. I'm Steve Smith. I'm the editorial director of events here at MediaPost. I'm your programmer. I'll be your MC and cruise director for the next few days. Welcome. If I haven't met you already, there are many people who have been coming to this event for many years. A lot of familiar faces here. But how many of you, for how many of you is this the first Email Insider Summit you've been to? Great. Great. Welcome. I think you're going to have a good time. This is one of our favorite events because it feels more like family than just about anything else we do. This show is and has always been about peer-to-peer sharing, about getting the people who are really in the trenches in email to share their best practices, their best ideas, their challenges, the things that they're working on that seem most promising. And that's what we're trying to do here this week. In the months leading up to any of these events, I spend a lot of time on the phone talking to everybody who's coming, the people we're recruiting, the companies we're interested in, the companies who are interested in coming here, to find out what you're working on that's really interesting, that's really worth sharing with one another. And that's what we've really highlighted here. And one of the themes that's really come through this time is the theme of personalization. Of course, it's always been at the core of email, but we're really seeing this theme come home. It's on everybody's lips because personalization is moving out of just the basics of email. We're starting to see, especially as the direct-to-consumer brands are coming online and bringing a lot of their sensibilities into the market, this idea of personalization that's moving across all touch points, the ways in which data is being leveraged in a lot of different ways, not just in email, but it needs to be knit together, this broader customer relationship where every time you touch the customer in a lot of different channels, it needs to be personalized. You need to know, they need to know that you know who they are and what they're about. And this is one of the challenges and the opportunities for email that a lot of people are latching onto, and I think is going to be a real topic. And of course, it's always been centered in email, and a lot of the personalization always comes back to email. It's one of the best places where we gather that data. It's one of the best places where we have that individualized voice and sense of an individualized customer. So of course, as we start seeing personalization become much more important throughout an organization, email is going to be central to that. And it's interesting, just a couple of days ago, some new research emerged about of marketers, asking marketers where their focus is, not just in email, and this is what was really important, is the way in which this theme of personalization has broken out and become central to marketing. So this is going to bother me the whole week. Oops. Okay. So the level of frustration with personalization across the board among marketers came through in some new research that Oracle and Commerce Next did of 100 marketers from major brands, both D2C and legacy brands, asking them and finding that 51% felt the results of their efforts in personalization in the last year fell below their expectations. So that the investments that they were making were neither measuring up, nor were the expectations of their customers being met. And this is a real key point, it seems to me. Not only that the investments in personalizations are still not measuring up, the expectations are higher, but that we're starting to see this theme of personalization really go through the entire organization. And also when it came to level of investment, in personalization technology, 52% of marketers said that they will be increasing their investment in personalization tech, second only to CDPs, and investing in the data core that's going to drive a lot of this. So we can see that focus on this theme and the ways in which email plays into that, the ways in which it plays a central role, I think is going to be one of the things that we'll be talking about a lot over the next few days. The ways in which especially email has always been the original direct-to-consumer communication. And as we start seeing it move across these different touch points, email is going to be connected to all of these other pieces. We're going to start seeing personalization. We already are, especially in the D2C space. We're seeing it in packaging and product customization, even in-store experiences and customer support. All these things need to be knitted together. The data needs to be knit together. So one of the things that we're doing this time at EIS that's a little different is we're focusing a little bit more on presentations. We're going to talk, the theme of this event is tactics, the ways in which people are executing their email programs. So in talking to a lot of you, in lieu of a lot of panel discussion, discussions. Instead, we're going to have a lot of people talking about the details, the hows and the whys and the whats they're doing, what they're finding, what they're discovering, what they can share with you. So there's a much higher percentage of presentations this time around than we usually have. And to kick us off in that spirit, let me reflect on some of your sentiments coming into this event. I surveyed all of you several days ago, asking a few key questions just to sort of take the temperature of the crowd, get a sense of the sets of priorities and ideas. And here are some of the things that I asked. In the last year, what change in your email marketing program approach or strategy has had the biggest positive impact on performance? Leveraging, and I won't read through all of them, but there are certain themes that kept popping up across a lot of these responses. But one of the things that I like about this exercise that we do at every EIS is that it takes some of the big themes like personalization, like data, and in some of even the briefest responses, it gives us a sense of how different people are coming at this and see this same generalized issue in a lot of particular ways. And that's what you're going to be talking about, especially in the roundtables over the next few days. Leveraging third-party technologies to optimize content, subject lines, product content, content selection, improved segmentation and personalization, automation and personalization. Again, personalization is sort of the persistent theme, but also a lot of focus on content and the ways in which content is driving this. Rollout of collaborative filter algorithms to build unique emails for each customer on a daily basis. Introducing, and this is interesting, some of the ways in which we're starting to see the data being used more intelligently. We're going to be hearing examples of this over the next few days, but this one struck me especially. Introducing real-time browse data into Salesforce Marketing Cloud enables us to trigger based on that data as well as dynamically include browser and cart data in any and all of our emails. Again, this theme of personalization across the different channels in which all the channels are talking and seeing each other, and the customer is aware of that. Staffing appropriately to manage all of this. This is going to be something that we're going to take up on the final day here. We're going to spend several sessions talking about staff composition, mentoring, and how we bring the next generation of marketers into email. This year we had not a lot of positive impact. This is a theme that came up occasionally, is raising intellectual property and brand reputation to increase deliverability, still an ongoing issue. We'll be raising this in some of the roundtables as well. I asked what the biggest challenge you have you're facing in personalization. What are the things that are getting in the way? Interesting, one of the key themes was creative, is that the creative simply is not up to the technology. That we've been hearing this for many years, but of course, it's one of the key challenges, is how you really can fill all of these personalized buckets, all these data points with truly personalized content. Not having again, we'll talk about this later, not having the experience in-house to actually make use of all these tools that we have at our disposal. Another key theme is data and the ways in which personalization is being hampered, not by the data that you have, but connecting it all properly. This was a persistent theme in a lot of the discussions, and we are going to be talking about, some of that we'll be talking about today in some of the presentations, the ways in which people are making those connections across the silos and using that data more effectively. Scalability of tools, ensuring subject, again, some of this is content, ensuring subject line entices click-throughs. And the big problem in personalization is trying to find out what element should be personalized, how that personalization should be represented. Then I asked a little provocative question about what would you like most to change about your ESP? And we got a big range of answers here, but a couple of themes came out. Be more intelligent in terms of optimization of all aspects of email. A/B testing should not be seen as a feature. Multivariate testing and experimental design should be the focus. And one of their hopes for moving to a new ESP is to allow better, easier integration with other channels. That was a persistent theme in talking about ESPs, is that problem of integration. Of course, internally, everybody's having that same problem of integrating their own data internally. Not surprising, they're going to have that trouble connecting it to any external third-party providers as well. Better reporting, service levels, and speed to complete projects, flexibility and scalability of the CDP, data visibility, the data infrastructure and design enable us to do what we want, but it's very difficult to query the data and view data without exporting files, better reporting. And there is somebody in this room who has absolutely no gripes with their ESP. So guess who it is, and the ESP on the other end of this can guess too. What email industry trend or tactic is most overrated? This is interesting. Several of you had this answer of preference pages, that the data should be doing this for you. The customer shouldn't be doing this, that we have the data, we should be able to infer a lot of this stuff and not make the customer go through all this process. That was interesting. And again, this theme of the expectation of personalization, that part of what's driving this is not that what we can do, but what increasingly customers are expecting us to do. They know the data that we're collecting on them. They know that we should be able to ease and make more frictionless their relationship with us. AI, we're going to be talking a lot about AI in a lot of different contexts, but what it is, distinguishing it from machine learning in particular, I think is going to be a persistent theme over the next few days. AMP for Gmail. Is anybody using AMP for Gmail? Because, man, I tried to get a case study on this, and nobody wanted to talk about this. What overrated? First name personalization is basic and risky, plus it does not add to the customer experience. And again, this move for personalization as a cute little feature into something that actually is core to the experience, and that's the way we should be gauging and thinking about that, I thought was an important point. Emojis, poor little emojis. Yeah, I know. Somebody doesn't like emojis. And then I asked, finally, what email messaging industry trend seems most promising? Again, a lot of this around AI and machine learning and the ways in which it's going to drive new levels of personalization, but also personalization that feels more human and less machine-driven, even though it's becoming more machine-driven, was a persistent theme here, and I think we'll be talking about over the next few days. But also questions about filtering and spam. Deliverability remains an issue, and especially privacy remains an issue. We'll be talking about this in a roundtable tomorrow. And interactivity inside an email. And I want to see, and I want to sort of foreshadow coming shows, maybe December. I would love to see more case studies about this. Those who are experimenting with that level of interactivity, because everybody seems to think this is going to be the future where the inbox really starts to feel like a full-blown web page that actually can bring you from inception to conversion within. Anyway, these were your thoughts, and we're going to see these reflected over the next few days in a lot of different contexts. So for those many of you who are here for the first time, just a couple of basic summit rules. First of all, everything that we talk about on stage is all on the record. It's live streamed over MediaPost.com. We blog it, we report it, we archive it. In fact, we're doing it live now. If any of you have people back at the home office you want to ping to tune in, they can go to the agenda page for the event and tune in and see it live. We'll also be posting videos from everything on stage usually at the end of the day or by the next morning, so you'll be able to reference it there. But then at noon, everything comes off stage and off the record. And that's when the roundtables hit. And those of you who have not done this before, I can't urge you enough. The roundtables are the core of what we do. It takes the content on stage and it turns it into conversations. That's where you really get to meet one another, talk to one another. It's where we energize the rest of the day, even when you go out and, when the rain stops, golf, or when you're skeet shooting, or when you're beer tasting. These conversations go on because of this structure, this pod, this core of detail and content in the morning that's turned into conversations in the roundtables. So I urge you, don't go out and do a phone meeting at noon. Stick around, think about the roundtable you want to join, and invest in it, because it's really core to the experience. And then, of course, enjoy yourself. This is a lot of fun, and it's fun to have these conversations go on in these multiple contexts. It's what we do here. To kick us off, and speaking of personalization across channels, there are a few